Well. How are you doing out there? Yes, I'm back again, and I'm so glad to be back. I have been podcasting, and now I'm doing this YouTube live thing once again. Hopefully, you will enjoy the content. Tonight, I'll probably just ramble, whatever the case may be. Uh, Listen to a lot of sports talk radio. Been following what's been going on here lately. Uh, Coaches on the move, and it is just downright mind blowing how they are doing it. You talk about these college kids that they should be more committed. How you expect them to be committed and the coaches is pulling stunts? As a matter of fact, there's a university I'm just going to call out as messy and trashy. But let's go back and look at the timetable. Lincoln Riley. I guess Oklahoma State beat him bad enough. He said, "You know what? I'm done with this. I'm on my way to the USC. You guys can have fun going to the SEC whenever y'all decide to migrate." I didn't want nothing to do with Texas anyway. You know, now that everything is going down the way it's going down, word has it that Lincoln Riley really wasn't on board with a move to the SEC, where Oklahoma and Texas will be going in a few years, unless there's a serious buyout and somebody would have to pay that. Then, not to be outdone, Brian Kelly. You know that guy that used to coach at Notre Dame? He decides to pull the wool over everybody's eye. Like he's really going to stay at Notre Dame. And oops, whoop, I got to one up Lincoln Riley. He decides it's time to go to LSU. And just as we thought it couldn't get no worse, y'all know what this means right here, don't you? No, that's not a sign from a WWE or OWCW wrestling. That is the U, as in you are messy, you are trashy, you have no class. Manny Diaz deserved better than that. Yeah, you wanted Mario Cristobal, you got him, but it's how you went about doing it. Like I said, we try to hold these college kids to a standard. Once they sign their name on that dotted line, we want them to be Mr. Committed. You're there to get a free ride education, whoop de whoop whoop. As they say on the odd couple, stop it. Just stop it right now. Miami, if I was going to start a wall of shame, your name would be on it. Basically, it went down like this: Coach Diaz, if Mario Cristobal decides not to take this offer, we will retain you as our coach. But no, that wasn't good enough. You basically fired a man and hired a man all within succession. Like, we want you to see the guy that's taking your place as you're walking out the door, not giving any consideration that just like you guys in power have a family, this man also has a family. Yes, I know coaches get paid, but you could have had a little bit more dignity and class about yourself. Miami, you made yourself look like a damn fool. That's all I can say about it. You made yourself look like a pure D damn fool. Uh, Nothing wrong with Mario Cristobal taking the job. Absolutely nothing wrong. It's all about how Miami handled this situation. Miami, you could have had a little bit more class, and that was a classless, gutless act on y'all's part. I don't care how you put it. Now, those of you watching this, you may decide to leave some comments and tell me what you think about it. You may agree with me, you may not agree with me. Hey, but that's last I checked, we're still in America. We have a right to freedom of expression, freedom of speech, and I will gladly read all your comments. But at the end of the day, I think Miami was very classless in how they handle this situation. There is a report out right now. Cowboy rumors. And it's saying that the Cowboys may be forced to move on from Amari Cooper. The Dallas Cowboys are slated to be more than 12 million over the salary cap in 2022 per Sport Track or Spot Track. This means the Cowboys are likely going to be forced to part with quality players, making for hard decisions for the Dallas front office this offseason. Cowboys have a lot of money tied up to just a few offensive players in Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, and Amari Cooper. One position that is almost guaranteed to look different next season is wide receiver. Michael Gallup and Cedric Wilson are among the Cowboys' top free agents. USA Today's KD Drummond suggests the Cowboys could consider trading Cooper this offseason, depending on what the Cowboys receive in return as part of the deal. The team could save $16 million in cap space. Cooper is the first of the players who could be off the roster, but is highly advised against. He may always suffer lower leg ailments, but he fights through those, Drummond detailed. The club certainly wasn't happy with him missing 2 games due to catching COVID while being unvaccinated, so that could play a factor as well. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later because there's some double standards in the shield known as the NFL. Truth is, the offense needs him, especially if they aren't re-signing Gallup. But even if they do, they won't release him. But the savings are the same, so just nothing here and with other candidates. He is signed through 2024 with a base salary of $20 million and a current cap hit of $22 million each season. Cooper has 3 seasons remaining on his 5-year, $100 million contract. Cowboy fans got to see what the team's offense looks like without Cooper, and the results were not pretty. That said, the offense continued to sputter, even with Cooper in the lineup against the Saints. Now, what I may want to say about that is maybe it's the fact that Kellen Moore's play calling is beginning to be a little bit more predictable, a lot less exotic, no creativity. You pretty much know what he's going to do before he do it. Anyway, Cooper's 5-year, $100 million contract, along with his $20 million annual salary, may be a luxury the Cowboys cannot afford. Drummond added that the Cowboys could try to restructure Cooper's contract to save as much as $12.67 million. There is a world where the Cowboys opt to move on from Cooper and replace him with Gallup or possibly a less expensive free agent. The Cowboys have a potential out in Cooper's deal after this season, but would take a $6 million cap hit if they release the star receiver per Spot Track. Jones was critical of Cooper for being unvaccinated. It is a common refrain in the NFL that the best ability is availability. Cooper is a regular on the injury report throughout the week, but to his credit, the receiver consistently plays through injuries. Prior to this year, Cooper had not missed a game during his previous 2 seasons with the Cowboys. That said, Cowboys owner Jerry Jones was very pointed with his criticism of Cooper for his unvaccinated status and being sidelined for 2 games after testing positive for COVID-19. Again, I said it early, you check me at the door in a football team, Jones explained during his November 23rd interview with Dallas's 105.3 The Fan. That has nothing to do with the issues of masking, not masking, getting vaccinated, not getting vaccinated. And if I have a tone, I shouldn't. It just has nothing to do with it. The facts are, it is a we thing when you walk into the locker room and anybody is being counted on to pull his weight. Everybody expects that. They look around at each other. They understand everybody's rights. They do. We do. Everybody understands our rights and our options as it pertains to those rights. But can you, if you forget that it's a we thing and how important your part is? Obviously, these guys are rewarded they're rewarded financially. Now, Amari Cooper is outstanding, folks. He's one of the highest character guys that you will ever be around in any area. Nobody is saying that he isn't outstanding, but this is a classic case of how it can impact a team when people are, at the end of the day, this is not individual, it is team. You cannot win anything individually. So, all of that are statements that I know everybody has heard till they're blue in the face. But the point is that this popped up. This did pop us. So, those are some things to take into consideration as far as the Cowboys are concerned, as far as who may or may not be back with the team next year. Uh, who knows? This could be some window dressing. One thing for sure, we know Jones was not too happy about Amari Cooper and him being unvaccinated. He said it's not a I thing, but it's a we thing. But see, there's something else in regards to that, and that has something to do with Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan as far as addressing there's no I in team. But Kobe said, yeah, but there's ME in team and some expletive words that I'm not going to say on here, okay? So, as Brian Kelly tries to get himself situated at LSU, apparently some players are saying, I'm out. LSU quarterback Max Johnson apparently wants no part of Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly is going to need to find a quarterback. Yeah, point blank. A week after he took the LSU job and prompted an uproar over how his Notre Dame exit went down, Kelly's starting quarterback Max Johnson announced Porto. Let me go ahead and read that right. Announced Tuesday that he will enter the transfer portal. His brother Jake, the top ranked tight end in the class of 2022, also announced he would decommit. The Tigers had already lost a quarterback earlier this year when Miles Brennan entered the portal and now have just one scholarship quarterback on the roster. True freshman Garrett Newsmeyer. Complicating matters further is that Newsmeyer will lose his red shirt if he plays in the Texas Bowl, having appeared in 4 games this year. Johnson, whose father, Brad, had a career in the NFL, y'all remember Brad Johnson, threw 27 touchdowns and 6 interceptions this season. LSU does have 5-star Walker Howard committed for 2022, but as with every other recruit, Howard committed when Ed Orgeron, you know, the guy that sounds like this, be going down by the bayou and chomping down on some old crawfish. Yeah, was the coach. Kelly will need to do some work to shore up the class, which, despite 2 top 50 prospects, ranks just 24th nationally and ninth in the SEC per 24/7 Sports. Tigers went a disappointing 6-6 this season and will play Kansas State in the Texas Bowl. So right now, look like Brian Kelly is not getting off to a good start. You know, sometimes when you do things out of order, it just lingers on. And right now, there is chaos going on down in the bayou. There's another report that says it like this: the college football playoff committee completely disrespected Baylor. Remember the final college football playoff ranking back in 2014? It was the first season of the new system. When the season was over, Ohio State got in over both TCU and Baylor due to a 13th data point. Just a few years later, the Big 12 welcomed back a conference title game to help their chances of getting into the top 4. In fact, they still remain as the only conference that guarantees the 2 top teams play in the title game. No lopsided divisions will play a role in determining the winner of the Big 12. If you win it, you clearly are the best team in the conference. Now, every Tuesday in the month of November, the playoff committee releases their weekly playoff rankings. It features a chairman of the committee who explains why the teams are ranked where they are. If you are a sucker like me, you watch every single week, and if you have paid close enough attention over the years, you have realized that their narratives change not only week to week, but from team to team. Hypocrisy. There is no better example of that than when the final college football playoff rankings were released this past Sunday. By no means did I expect Baylor to sneak into the top four as a two-loss champion, but I did wonder why they were ranked seventh. The teams ranked ahead of them were Alabama, Michigan, Georgia, Cincinnati, Notre Dame, and Ohio State. Three of those teams were conference champions, while Georgia lost in the SEC title game to the number one ranked team, which was their first loss of the season. Now, which of these teams don't belong in the top six? That would be Notre Dame and Ohio State. Ohio State not only didn't win their conference, but they didn't even have the chance to, considering the fact that they didn't even win their own division. The Buckeyes suffered two losses this season, just like Baylor did. However, the Bears were able to beat a top 10 team in the Big 12 championship game, while Ohio State sat at home and watched Michigan win the Big 10. I guess the 13th data point didn't matter. As for Notre Dame, they didn't even play in the conference, so they only get 12 games. In those 12 games, do you know how many top 15 wins the Fighting Irish had? It's a big fat zero. Zilch. Nada. They beat absolutely nobody and got rewarded for it. Clueless Gary Barta. Interesting enough, a future Big 12 school got the short end of the stick as well. When the rankings came out, a 10-2 BYU team was placed behind a 10-3 Utah team and an 11-2 Pitt team. The reasoning for it, according to Gary Barta, the two teams that are ahead of them both won conference championships. Keep in mind, BYU beat Utah earlier in the season. But if that is the committee's reasoning, then fine. But wait a second. If Utah and Pitt were ranked ahead of BYU due to the fact that they won conference championships, then why was Baylor still ranked behind a team like Ohio State? Gary said that the committee just felt Ohio State was a better football team than Baylor. Both terrific teams, but Ohio State was the better team. Dude, what the hell are you smoking on? It's funny that there was zero mention of a conference championship there. I guess the 13th data point argument only applies to certain teams. Someone also brought up an interesting point that Baylor jumped Ole Miss for winning the Big 12, but not Ohio State or Notre Dame or Blue Bloods, or maybe the fact the top six teams get more airtime on ESPN because their playoff graphics always include the top two left out of the playoffs. In the grand scheme of things, some of you are wondering, why am I going through all this trouble about a team who never had a shot to make the playoff to begin with? And that's fair. However, the reason teams like Baylor don't have a fair shot at the playoff is for the reasons I just mentioned earlier. The system is rigged due to human element. This has never been about getting the four best or most deserving team in. It's all about the logo on the helmet and whether or not it looks good on TV. Because in the end, money makes the world go round. Please feel free to weigh in, chime in, leave your comments. I'd like to hear what you have to say. on this matter. Only reason I think Cincinnati got in because they had an undefeated season, and it just so happened they beat that team that wears the gold helmets. And then we find out that that team didn't beat not near team in the top 15. Not zero. None whatsoever. Matter of fact, I could probably make a strong case. I don't even think Notre Dame is a top 10 team. But that's my opinion. And the saying goes like this: an opinion is just like a butt. Everybody has one. It's just that there's a different odor that comes out of it. Bottom line is, it all stinks, just like the committee. Yeah, I said that. Well, my time has come to a close here. But before this week is out, I will be back and I'm going to go hard and heavy in the paint on HBCU. That's right, Jackson State University, FAMU. There's been some movements going around there, some recruiting wars going on. So I just want to kind of set the table so you know, hey, HBCU, I gotta show them brethren some love because they got a good product. And Deion Sanders has actually changed his mind on having a separate combine. Just kind of giving you a little teaser right here. His idea was to have a separate combine so the scouts can come check him out. But then once he thought about it, bottom line was there's too much separatism going on. He said, "Why don't you have this open this combine up to allow more than just 52 players?" Basically, doing the math, that's 6 players for each position, or some of that magnitude. Why don't you add more spots? Everybody's talking about how watered down this quarterback class is. Why don't you go check out some of the quarterbacks at these HBCU schools? I'll give you a name right now. Senior, Akil Glass. I'll give you another name that's causing some controversy because he's coming up in the Legacy Bowl. His name is Bryce Witt from Chowden State. Right. They play in a conference with the HBCUs, but they're not an HBCU school. But yet, he's worth a look. Look at his numbers. Akil Glass. Look at his numbers. These kids deserve a chance to show what they can do. Why don't you invite more to your NFL combine? You might be surprised. You might find a diamond in the rough. Anyway, it's time for me to make haste and get up out of here. Hope you have enjoyed this stream. I hope you have enjoyed the content that I've had. Please do me one favor. Thumbs up, like, it just helps, as they say, with the algorithms. Leave a comment. I'll be glad to interact with you. I know no strangers. You can agree with me or you can disagree with me, but at the end of the day, you're my friend, and I hope I'm your friend as well too. But until the next time, take care of yourself. God bless.